Hello, once again, yes, Barony. Today's class guide is the Healer. This is the first of the magic-oriented classes for this new class guide series, and I do believe it's a good one for newer players. The Healer is a magic and martial hybrid, leaning a bit more to the magic side. You'll start off quite squishy, but over time will gain enough constitution that you kind of become a paladin type of build, or, if you want to be petty, a shittier cleric. The Healer's starting equipment is a bit more interesting than the previous two classes, as it's geared towards support rather than combat. A Phrygian hat and cloak give you some medical swag, but should be thrown away since they offer no benefit. The only other piece of armor you have is a Healer's doublet, which gives 1 intelligence point, and can give more if it is blessed. You have 2 weapons, a quarterstaff for whacking ne'er-do-wells, and a staff of slow to help you escape from the vengeful skeleton. 2 spellbooks are present, healing and cure ailment. This ensures that if you're a goblin, you can still use the spells that give your class its purpose, but if you are any other race, you can just memorize the spells and keep the books if you so desire. Finally, 3 extra healing potions for max health recovery, 3 towels to stop bleeding or grease, a fish, and 2 apples. Skill distribution is pretty straightforward: 25 swimming, 30 alchemy, 25 magic, 50 casting, 10 blocking, and 25 polearms. Unlike the previous 2 classes, there's not much wiggle room with the Healer. You exist to be a hardy support magician with just barely enough skill in polearms and blocking to defend yourself. The Healer has a fascinating curve of difficulty, in the way that you start at rock bottom, but by facing hardships and ordeals that others would scoff at, you can rise above the rest with your self-sustaining magics. In a single-player environment, you'll need to farm block levels from rats, though I would wait until you have a shield so you actually get AC from blocking. Once you can block skeletons properly, then it snowballs much easier, as the only things you'd need to worry about for a while are trolls and spiders. They can be dealt with from a distance once you find some offensive magic. You should be able to memorize lower level offensive spells like Force Bolt, Poison, and maybe Fireball, and your skill will increase over time as you use them. If you get hit, well, you start with the very spell that fixes that. Bleeding? We got towels, baby. In a multiplayer environment, things are much different though. You'll take a backseat to combat and be almost entirely support. Distribute your towels, heal your teammates when they're low on health, and cure them of any debuffs with the Cure Ailment spell. If you can keep obtaining healing potions, then throwing them at your allies is actually better than giving them the potion and having them drink it, since the potion's effects are increased based on your alchemy skill. This is why Barony is peak and encourages drunken father roleplay. The Healer is a very easy class to arm, as I'd say as long as you've got the proper spells to kill the Minotaur, just get Gungnir. The 2 best spells against the Minotaur would be Cold and Bloodletting, since both of those do damage and slow the target, so spamming those against him is a super easy win. Hell, if you're vigilant enough in training your blocking skill and leveling up, you may be able to fight him head on. If you can't or don't want to get Gungnir, then a Crystal Spear works too. At the same time, you can also get a spellbook for an offensive spell and bless it with enchant armor scrolls to further increase its damage. Bear in mind, you would then need to manage that spellbook's durability, so you'll need a feather as well as some charge scrolls to keep the feather repaired. This would work with any spellbook, but for a weaponized one, I'd say Magic Missile, Bloodletting, Lightning, or Cold would be your best options. Maybe even Poison. Alternatively, with your 30 alchemy skill, if you can get your hands on an alembic, then you can become a pseudo brewer along with your magic ability. This gives you even more weapon options, as you'll have your polearms, magic, but also the offensive potions. This complements the Healer extremely well, as you are somewhat frail with your hardiness growing over time, but you can throw magical grenades that do some of the best damage in the game. You can also use the alembic to heal the wounded rather than smite the wicked. I like to call this the alcoholic's dilemma. Armor time. Get a Mitre. The Sphinx's cask is good and all, 8 intelligence is nice, but a Priestly Mitre increases the power of your healing spells. That is literally the thing your class does. It's in the title. A Circlet, Circlet of Wisdom, or Mage's Headdress would also work if you're aiming for a slightly more offensive magic support build. The Healer's Doublet or Wizard's Tunic are probably your best bet for the chest slot, since they only weigh 1 barony, and give intelligence points when blessed. I hear the cleric in Hamlet is generously donating his to anyone that can show him a good time. For a little more swag factor, a Vampire Doublet would be good since you then get more mana regen, but you won't naturally regenerate health, so beware. If you're going solo and have no one to protect but yourself, leather armor is fine, and with your constitution growth, an iron or steel breastpiece may be in order. If you're willing to risk it, I'd even say the Dragon's Mail would work, what with its passive health regen buff. Gloves can be whatever, it doesn't really matter. Same with the boots, though the Oracle's treads could come in handy if you can escape the Haunted Mansion. Shields are the same as they always are, steel or crystal for melee attacks, and a mirror shield for deflecting magic. While you're at it, magic reflect amulets and cloaks are universally helpful, and a cloak of protection or invisibility can help your AC, or help you avoid fights entirely. For miscellaneous items, an enchanted feather is extremely helpful since you'll especially need it for a spellbook build, or god forbid, a magic staff build. A feather would also let you enchant your mitre, doublet, or spear, as well as repair them. For race recommendations, I'd say Vampire is your best bet, as you get Levitate for easy map traversal, and Bloodletting, one of the best offensive spells. Goblin is to be avoided unless you want a challenge, Goatman as well, primarily because when you're drunk you get a debuff to your intelligence stat. Skeleton is probably not worth it. Getting a free revive is huge, but having your mana regen reduced to a quarter of what it normally would be sucks majorly. Automaton could actually be pretty good because the boiler system would allow you to expand mana a lot more since you would be regenerating it a lot more. Succubus, Incubus, and Insectoid are all neutral, each with their own bonuses and drawbacks, but nothing that makes the class unplayable. In short, heal your friends and family, engage in field nurse roleplay, and ask yourself, why didn't I just play the cleric? That's it for the Healer Guide. If you enjoyed, subscribe for more Barony slop, and I'll see you in the next one.